The moon hung above the earth like a silver eye, quiet, cold, watching Dot inside the small lunar base Astra 6. One man woke to the sound of silence. No beeps, no alarms. No hum of machines, just nothing. Elias Rayner, mission engineer, opened his eyes slowly. His visor fogged as he breathed. The room lights were dead. The monitors showed only static. He pushed himself up, feeling light and dizzy in the weak gravity. Outside the narrow window, the moon's surface glowed brighter than he remembered. Silver light spread across the craters, soft but strange, like the ground itself was alive. "System check," he whispered, voice dry and shaky. No answer. The comms were silent. He tried the base console. Dead. Backup power offline. The mission log said last entry, 2:47 a.m. Earth time. After that, nothing. He rubbed his head. A memory flickered. A bright flash. A sound like thunder underwater. Then darkness. What happened? He muttered. He felt a cold pull in his chest. Not fear, not yet, but something older. The kind of feeling you get when you realize you are completely alone. He floated toward the airlock. The emergency lights flickered on for a second, painting the walls in red. Enough power for one last suit activation. As he sealed his helmet, the radio crackled. Just once. A faint voice, almost a whisper. "You shouldn't have woken up." He froze. "Who's there?" No reply. The voice was gone as fast as it came. He stepped outside. The moon stretched around him, endless, pale, quiet. But something was wrong. Across the surface, thin threads of silver light shimmered, weaving over craters and ridges. They pulsed like veins under skin, alive, breathing. He bent down. The light was not a reflection. It was real, like glowing threads laid across the ground. Each one humming faintly. When he touched it, the sound entered his suit, a soft vibration, like a lullaby sung in another language. He pulled his hand back quickly. The vibration stopped. His heart raced. He looked up. The light was spreading, moving, forming shapes in the dust. At first, it looked random, but then the shapes began to connect. Circles, spirals, webs. He turned on his helmet camera. "Recording active," he said, voice shaking slightly. "This is Elias Rayner, Lunar Base Astra 6, unknown phenomenon detected on the lunar surface. Possible light anomaly." He stopped mid-sentence. The threads of light were rising. They were forming a figure, a tall, human-like outline, built entirely from glowing strands. It moved like wind and water. He took a step back. His oxygen monitor beeped low supply. He didn't care. The figure tilted its head as if looking at him. Then it spoke, not with words, but through the radio, in a voice that wasn't sound. "Do you dream, Elias?" He froze. His breath caught in his throat. How do you know my name?" The figure didn't answer. Instead, it lifted one shining hand. Threads of light shot from the ground, wrapping around the air like silk ribbons. They shimmered, showing images, fleeting pictures floating in the dark. Elias saw his childhood, a boy lying under the night sky. Staring at the moon, he saw his mother's face, singing a soft tune. He saw the launch day, the rocket flames, the fear he tried to hide. Then the images vanished. "You came to listen," the voice whispered again. "But the moon has been listening too." The light around her dimmed, turning from silver to gray. Then, as suddenly as it appeared, the figure scattered into dust, 1,000 threads flying upward into the black sky. Elias stood there, trembling. His suit sensors flickered. The temperature dropped 10 degrees. He whispered, "Who are you?" Only static answered. He started walking back to the base, but the ground under him felt soft, like fine silk. The silver light was everywhere now, glowing in strange patterns. They looked almost like writing. He tried reading them aloud. The moment he spoke the first syllable, his radio came alive again, filled with whispers overlapping one another. Men, women, children, hundreds of voices, whispering the same word over and over. "Dream!" He ripped off his helmet audio feed, but the sound didn't stop. It was inside his mind now. The lights grew brighter. His visor darkened automatically to block the glare. And through the silver storm, He saw something moving across the horizon, a shadow that didn't belong. It was massive, stretching from crater to crater, crawling beneath the light. It left trails of darkness wherever it passed, trails that absorbed the silver glow. The moon was changing. He reached the base hatch and slammed the door behind him. Inside, the power flickered back to life, screens turning on one by one. Every monitor displayed the same image. A single phrase, repeated endlessly across the interface: "The loom is breaking." Elias backed away from the screens. His breathing quickened. "Computer, what is the loom?" he demanded, but before the system could respond, his helmet speaker came alive again, this time clear and calm. "You will see soon, Elias. The moon remembers all who dream." The lights dimmed again. A faint silver glow filled the room, coming not from outside, but from the walls themselves. He looked down. His gloves shimmered faintly. Threads of light were crawling up his suit, like they were stitching into the fabric. He tried to tear them off, but they only sank deeper. Then he heard the same female voice, closer now, almost kind. "Don't fight the light. You are part of it now." The airlock hissed. The door behind him opened on its own. Outside, the silver horizon pulsed like it was breathing, calling him. He took one slow step forward. The voice whispered one last time, "Welcome to the loom. Elias, the moon has been waiting for you." The moon was quiet again, but not peaceful. Elias stood at the open hatch, staring into the silver horizon. The light outside no longer looked gentle. It pulsed, steady and slow, like a living heartbeat spread across the moon. His suit sensors flickered. Temperature, unstable. Radiation, rising. Oxygen, 40%. Still, something pulled him forward. The whisper in his head had not stopped since the last time he heard her voice. "The moon remembers you." He stepped out again. This time, the light didn't fade. It followed him, thin, glowing threads sliding under the dust, tracing his every step like roots growing beneath the surface. A crater lay ahead, one he didn't recognize. His map said there was nothing here. But now, it was glowing with thousands of silver strands that curved in perfect spirals. He walked closer. Inside the crater, the threads were forming shapes, not random ones, but memories. He saw a child running through tall grass, chasing fireflies. He saw a woman painting under a window full of moonlight. He saw himself sitting beside a lake, building a paper rocket as a boy. Each vision shone for only a moment before melting into light again. Elias whispered, "These are dreams," a voice answered, soft as breath. "Not dreams, remnants." He turned, and there she was. The silver woman, the moonweaver, stood a few meters away, woven from shining threads. Her face was calm, unreadable. Her eyes glowed like small stars. "You see them now because you touched the loom," she said. "The moon holds every dream your kind ever made." Elias swallowed hard. "Dreams? How can that be real?" The moonweaver tilted her head slightly. "Every time a human dreamed, a strand of light was born here. You have been weaving this place for millennia without knowing." He took a step back, shaking his head. "That's impossible. Dreams are just thoughts." "Thoughts are light," she replied. "Light remembers." He looked around. The crater glowed brighter now, showing more images, millions of them, floating in the dust like fragments of lives. A soldier dropping his weapon to look at the stars. A mother whispering a lullaby. A child imagining flight, and between them shadows flickered, faint and thin. Dark lines moving among the light. "What are those?" Elias asked. The moonweaver's eyes dimmed. "Nightmares. Broken dreams. They twist the loom, they feed the dark beneath." Elias frowned. "The dark beneath?" She raised her hand, and the light threads bent, revealing deep tunnels under the lunar crust. Black voids where the silver light disappeared completely. "The dark feeds on fear," she said quietly. "And lately humanity has been afraid more than ever." He stared at the hollow tunnels, cold spreading through him. "You're saying our fear is alive?" "Alive. And hungry." Elias looked back toward the stars. They shimmered faintly, distorted, as if the very space around him was bending. He realized the moon's light was leaking into space, like threads drifting away into the void. The Moonweaver stepped closer. The glow from her form brushed against his suit, and for a brief second, Elias saw flashes of his own past inside her light. The academy graduation, his first spacewalk, his mother's funeral. Moments he'd forgotten. Moments he'd buried. "Why are you showing me this?" he whispered. Her voice softened. "Because the loom remembers what you choose to forget. It uses your memories to keep your world alive." He looked around again. The silver light began to tremble, flickering like a dying flame. "What's happening?" "The loom is failing," she said. "The nightmares are spreading faster than dreams can heal, and soon the threads will snap." Elias frowned. "If this loom breaks, what happens to us?" The Moonweaver turned her gaze toward Earth, a small blue marble in the distance. "Your dreams stop. When that happens, so does your world." Suddenly the ground beneath them shifted. A deep vibration ran through the dust. The silver threads twisted violently, glowing red for a heartbeat before fading to gray. The Moonweaver looked down. Her voice trembled slightly for the first time. "It is waking." Elias backed away. "What's waking?" "The one that feeds." The light threads around the crater started collapsing inward, forming a spiral, a massive sinkhole of silver and shadow. It pulsed like a heart, and from its depths came a sound, a deep, low hum that made Elias's bones ache. He fell to his knees, covering his helmet. The hum grew louder. The ground cracked open, spilling out black mist that swallowed the light. The Moonweaver shouted, her voice echoing through the radio. "Run, Elias! Do not let it see you." He stumbled backward, trying to escape the crater, but the ground kept sinking. The mist spread faster, reaching for him like hands made of smoke. The silver light fought back, but the darkness devoured it. All around him, the memories, the dreams, began to break apart into dust. He heard voices again, this time screaming instead of whispering. Every scream came from a memory being destroyed. Elias ran until his legs gave up. He collapsed behind the ridge, gasping for breath. He looked up. The Moonweaver was still standing by the crater, glowing brighter, her body stretching taller. Her hands raised toward the sky. Silver light poured from her like a waterfall, trying to seal the crater. But the darkness pushed harder, swallowing the light inch by inch. Elias whispered, "She's fighting it." The radio buzzed again, her voice faint, trembling. "I cannot hold it alone. The dreamer must help." Elias looked down at his gloved hands, still faintly glowing from before. He remembered her words, "You are part of it now." He didn't understand how, but deep inside he knew what she meant. The threads that touched him had changed something in him. He could feel them now, humming softly in his heartbeat. He pressed his hand to the ground. The silver light flickered under his palm, responding to his touch. For a moment, the hum slowed down, the darkness hesitated. The Moonweaver looked toward him, her voice clear again. "Yes, now you see." The ground steadied. The mist withdrew slightly. The crater stopped collapsing. For now, she looked weak, her form flickering like a candle flame. "Go to the shadows on the far side," she said. "There lies the heart of the loom. If it dies, everything dies with it." Elias hesitated. "The far side?" "That's hundreds of kilometers. The loom will guide you," she said softly. "Follow the threads. They remember the way." Her light dimmed completely, leaving only the silver strands glowing faintly on the ground. Elias stared at the horizon, where darkness and light mixed together like storm clouds. He whispered, "Then I'll find it." He turned on his boots and began walking toward the black horizon, the silver threads weaving paths ahead of him, like veins leading to the heart of the moon. The moon was no longer silent. It breathed out as Elias walked across the endless plains. The ground pulsed beneath his boots, faint and rhythmic like a sleeping heartbeat. Silver threads spread before him, winding through craters and rocks, leading him toward the far side, the place no human had ever reached on foot. Above him, the earth glowed blue and small, hanging in a sea of black. It looked peaceful from here. But Elias knew peace was an illusion. Every few minutes, the radio whispered static, sometimes his own voice echoing back what he said seconds earlier. He didn't know if it was the moon or his mind. The silver path grew thinner the further he went. The air felt heavier, though there was no air at all, just the weight of unseen eyes. He couldn't shake the feeling that something was following him. He turned once, twice, nothing. Only the long shadows of the rocks, glowing faintly with reflected light, but then he saw them, footprints. Not his? Too large? Too deep. They led in the same direction he was walking. Hours passed. He walked in silence, following the glowing threads until the light began to fade. The stars above dimmed too, swallowed by something unseen. He had reached the border, the line where sunlight never touched. The dark side of the moon. When he stepped across it, his helmet sensors went black for 3 seconds. The systems rebooted, struggling to adjust. And then he heard it, a low hum, deep and distant. It was not mechanical, it was alive. The ground ahead was not silver anymore. It shimmered with strange black glass, smooth as mirrors, cracked like dried skin. When he looked down, he didn't see his reflection. He saw something else, another figure standing perfectly still, staring back at him through the dark surface. He knelt slowly, shining his suit light onto it. The reflection moved a second later than he did. He whispered, "Who are you?" The reflection smiled. Then the surface rippled like water, and the reflection reached up, pressing a hand from inside the ground. Elias stumbled backward, heart racing. The black glass began to move, shifting like a liquid mirror. Shapes formed inside it, faces, hundreds of them, screaming silently, twisting in pain. They were not alive. They were dreams, trapped beneath the surface. "These are the lost ones," the Moonweaver's voice echoed faintly through the radio. Dreams that forgot themselves. People who stopped believing. Elias spun around. "Where are you?" "Everywhere," she whispered. "And nowhere. The light grows weaker here." He looked up. The horizon shimmered faintly, distant towers of silver light rising and falling like breath. At their base, the black ground boiled, pulsing with something large moving underneath. Elias started walking faster. His boots sank slightly into the dark dust. The air, or whatever passed for it here, felt thicker, heavier, humming against his chest plate. Each step made the ground vibrate. He realized the hum wasn't coming from below. It was coming from him. His suit glowed faintly with silver veins again, the threads that had bonded to him earlier. They'd pulsed faster now, like they were answering something unseen. He tried to steady his breathing, but the rhythm wouldn't stop. The moon itself was syncing with his heartbeat. Then the hum changed pitch, from low and calm to sharp and angry. The ground cracked open nearby with a sound like glass breaking underwater. From the crack, black smoke poured out, thick, oily, almost alive. It rose into the air and took shape. A tall, thin figure made of shadow and light, its face hidden, its edges flickering like torn film. It stood motionless for a moment, then turned its head toward him. Elias froze. The shadow's mouth opened, but no sound came, only vibration. He felt it through his suit, through his chest, inside his skull. Then the whisper came, like 1,000 voices speaking as one. "Dreamer." He stumbled back. The word felt like fire in his head. The shadow took a step forward, and the black ground beneath it melted like tar. Elias shouted into his mic, "Moonweaver!" "What is this thing?" Her voice came through, distant, trembling. "The Dream Eater. It wakes where fear gathers. It's hunting you." Elias turned and ran. The silver threads ahead of him flickered, showing him a faint path through the dark landscape. Behind him, the ground exploded as the creature followed, moving like smoke. Faster than wind, he leapt over craters and jagged rocks, his oxygen alarm beeping in his ears. Each time his foot touched the ground, a wave of silver light burst outward, the loom reacting to his fear. The creature roared. And the sound was not sound, it was memory breaking apart. Elias could hear voices again, people crying, machines screaming, oceans burning. The collective fear of humankind, all echoing inside the monster's form. He tripped and fell. His helmet cracked against the ground, his vision blurring. When he looked up, the shadow stood over him, tall and thin. Reaching down, its face leaned close, and for a heartbeat, he saw his own face reflected inside the darkness. Then something struck, a flash of silver light, bright as lightning. The creature screamed and vanished into mist. Elias looked up and saw the Moonweaver, weak, fading, but standing on a ridge above him. Her light flickered like a dying flame. "You cannot fight it," she said softly. "It is born from what you fear most." Elias gasped for air. "Then how do I stop it?" "By remembering what you forgot." He frowned. "What do you mean?" "When you came here, you brought your mind, but left your dream behind. Without it, you cannot weave. You cannot fight the dark." The silver threads on the ground began to glow brighter again, surrounding him in a circle of light. The Moonweaver raised her hand, the threads lifted, floating around him like ribbons. "You must go to the heart of the loom," she said. "Find your dream. The rest will follow. Where is it?" he asked. She pointed to the far horizon. Beyond the towers of light he saw a massive crater, glowing faintly like the eye of a sleeping god. "There," she whispered, "where the moon keeps what it fears most." Her light flickered again. She was fading completely now. Before she vanished, her last words reached him through the static. "Remember, Elias, the dark cannot take what you love unless you let it." Elias stood alone again. The silence pressed against him, heavy as stone. He looked toward the crater, so far away it looked almost unreal. He took one step forward, then another. The silver threads lit up beneath his boots, one by one, guiding him like a trail of stars. Behind him, the shadow's whisper echoed softly. "Dreamer." He didn't turn back. He just kept walking into the darkness, toward the place where all dreams began and ended. The dark side of the moon was never meant for light. Yet here it was, trembling with faint silver threads that refused to die. Elias walked alone under a sky without stars. The silence was thicker now, not empty, but full, like something was listening every few steps. He felt the ground pulse under his boots, slow, steady, patient. It wasn't the heartbeat of a planet. It was something else. Something awake. His oxygen meter blinked red. He had maybe 4 hours left. But turning back was not an option. He followed the last remaining silver thread across a jagged ridge. The ground below shimmered with black light, like oil spreading through water. When his foot brushed the dust, it hissed. "Dreams shouldn't make sounds," he whispered to himself, but this was not a dream. Not anymore. The base of the ridge lay an open crater. Its walls curved inward like the inside of a massive bowl, smooth and metallic. At its center was a vast chasm, a hole that seemed to have no bottom. Silver threads dangled from the edges, reaching into the darkness below, twitching as if alive. As Elias approached, his suit picked up a faint vibration, not sound but rhythm. It was the same pulse that haunted his chest. He knelt and peered over the edge. The darkness moved. At first, he thought it was dust swirling, but then it took shape. A shadow formed deep within the crater, rising like smoke in slow motion. It stretched, twisted, and grew taller until it reached the surface. When it spoke, it didn't use words. It vibrated through him, his teeth, his bones, his memories. "Dreamer." Elias stepped back, hands shaking. His lights flickered. The silver thread around his wrist pulsed rapidly. "You've come too far," the voice said, this time inside his head, deep and low. "You shouldn't have followed the light." Elias gritted his teeth. "What are you?" The shape flickered. For a moment it looked like a man, tall, cloaked in shadow. Then it shifted again, becoming 1,000 faces, each one screaming silently. "I am what you forget when you wake. I am everything your kind hides beneath their dreams. Fear, regret, guilt, loneliness." The ground trembled. Silver threads snapped, twisting upward like frightened snakes. Elias stumbled back, his suit warning flashing red. "Seismic activity detected." "You destroy what you imagine," the voice thundered. "You build worlds of hope, and then burn them with your fear." Elias raised his hand, the silver glow from his skin flickering brighter. "I'm not afraid of you," he said, though his voice shook. The shadow laughed, a deep, hollow sound like wind through a graveyard. You are made of fear, dreamer. Without it, you are nothing. The air, or whatever surrounded them, grew heavy. The black mist thickened, reaching for him. It crawled up his legs, his chest, wrapping him in darkness. His helmet screen flashed warnings, oxygen error, vision interference. Neural spikes detected. He screamed and ripped off the helmet, gasping, and then froze. He could breathe. The moon had changed. The ground beneath him was gone. He was standing on a glassy plain that reflected the stars, but there were no stars in the sky. The reflection itself was the sky, and in it, he saw his memories projected like ghosts in silver mist. He saw his crewmates laughing during training. He saw his mother's face fading under hospital lights. He saw himself standing in front of the launch window, whispering, "I'm not ready." The shadow moved behind him, whispering in his ear, "Every fear you ever dreamed of lives here, and you brought it with you." He turned, but there was no creature now, only a figure made of black and silver threads, shaped like him. A perfect reflection. It tilted its head, mirroring his every move. He said quietly, "You're me." The reflection smiled. "I am what you left behind. The part that wanted to stay on Earth, the part that couldn't let go." Elias backed away, heart pounding. But wherever he moved, the reflection followed, step for step. "You think you came here to explore?" the reflection said. "But you came to forget. You built this dream to hide from what broke you." The ground cracked again. This time, the silver threads erupted upward, wrapping around both of them. Light and shadow tangled together, burning and twisting in a storm of energy. Elias screamed as the silver light spread through his body, merging with the shadow's form. He saw flashes, billions of dreams spinning across time and space. Children, lovers, strangers, all connected through glowing threads of light. The voice of the Moonweaver echoed faintly through the chaos. "You must not destroy the darkness. Elias, you must understand it." He closed his eyes, letting the storm surround him. When he opened them again, he was floating, no ground, no sky, just endless silver threads stretching in every direction. The reflection floated in front of him. Still smiling, Elias whispered, "If you're my fear, then I accept you." The reflection tilted its head. "Then you accept what you truly are?" The two forms merged, light and dark, becoming one shape glowing bright enough to pierce the void. The hum changed tone, no longer violent, but calm like a heartbeat settling. The silver threads around him began to heal, reconnecting where they had snapped. For the first time, the moon's light grew steady again. Elias floated down gently onto the glowing ground. The crater was quiet. The mist was gone. He felt heavy again, real again. The voice of the Moonweaver whispered softly in his mind, "You faced the Dream Eater. You learned its truth." He looked up. It wasn't a monster. "No," she said. "It was your shadow. It was humanity's shadow. The more you fear it, the stronger it grows." He stood in silence, looking toward the horizon, where faint light shimmered in the distance. The Moonweaver's voice continued, "Fading like wind, now you must go where light and dark meet, to the heart of the loom. There, the final choice waits." He picked up his cracked helmet and placed it under his arm. The silver threads glowed softly beneath his skin now, no longer burning, but pulsing like veins of living light. He whispered to himself, "The moon remembers, and so do I." He started walking again toward the faint glow on the horizon, where the last dream of humanity waited to be woven, or broken forever. The moon was quiet again, but it was not the same silence as before. It was a silence that listened. Elias walked across a plain made of silver light. The dust beneath his boots shimmered faintly, like it was alive, each grain glowing and fading with every step. He had walked for what felt like hours, though time had no meaning here. His oxygen meter had stopped counting long ago. Yet he was still breathing. The silver veins under his skin pulsed gently, not painful, not cold. They felt alive, as if the moon itself was inside him now, keeping him awake, keeping him moving, ahead. The silver plain ended at a great valley. In the middle of that valley floated a sphere of pure light, spinning slowly like a giant cocoon. It was made of millions of shining threads, twisting, weaving, humming in harmony. Elias stopped at the edge, staring in awe. "The heart of the loom," he whispered. The light rippled in response like it had heard him. And then a voice spoke softly from behind. "You found it." He turned. The Moonweaver stood there, but she was not as he remembered her. Her glow was dimmer now, flickering thin. Parts of her body were almost transparent, fading into the air. Still, she smiled. "The loom is alive again. Because of you." Elias nodded slowly. "I faced it. The Dream Eater. I know now what it was." The Moonweaver's eyes reflected the spinning light. "You saw the truth of your kind, the fear that sleeps beneath the dreams. But the darkness is not gone? It only sleeps. For now." He looked at the glowing sphere. "What happens if it wakes again? Then all that you have seen, the light, the dreams, the memories, will fall into silence forever." He clenched his fists. "Then tell me how to stop it." The Moonweaver stepped closer. Her voice was calm, almost kind, but her words carried weight. "The loom is dying, Elias. Every human dream that reaches this place needs a dreamer to feed it, to keep it alive. But humanity has forgotten how to dream without fear. The threads are breaking faster than I can weave them." He looked down at his glowing hands. "Then take my light." "Use it?" She shook her head. "It is not that simple. The loom does not need more light. It needs a weaver." Elias frowned. "You mean me?" The Moonweaver nodded slowly. "You carry the silver threads now. The loom has chosen you? But to weave, you must become part of it. You must leave your human self behind." The words hit him like a cold wind. "Leave myself?" he repeated quietly. "You will no longer dream for yourself," she said softly. "You will dream for all." He stepped back, shaking his head. "That's death." The Moonweaver's expression was unreadable. "It is transformation. The difference depends on how you see it." Elias turned away. His reflection shimmered faintly on the surface of the silver valley. He saw the same tired eyes, the same fear. "I didn't come here to die," he said. "You came here because you already were," the Moonweaver whispered. He froze. The words sank deep into him, too true to ignore. Ever since the day of the launch, he had felt empty. He had looked up at the moon, searching for something he couldn't name. And now, standing on its surface, he finally understood what it was. He wasn't running from Earth. He was running from himself. The Moonweaver walked closer. Her fading light cast long shadows across the valley floor. "When humans dream, Elias, they send their hope into the sky. I gather it here and spin it into light. But when fear grows stronger than hope, I grow weak. The loom can no longer survive alone." She reached out, her glowing hand hovering near his chest. "If you join me, your mind will become part of the weave. You will see every dream that ever was and every one still waiting to be born." He stared at the sphere. Inside he saw flashes, memories not his own. A child smiling in sunlight. A man painting stars on a ceiling. A woman whispering a prayer before sleep. "So many lives, all connected by silver light," he whispered. "And if I refuse?" The Moonweaver looked down. "Then the light will fade, slowly, humanity will forget how to dream. And the silence that follows will never end." Elias stood there for a long time. The hum of the loom filled the air, slow, patient, like a heartbeat waiting for an answer. He thought of Earth, blue and fragile, spinning far above. He thought of his crew, of the laughter he could barely remember now. He thought of the voice of his mother singing him to sleep when he was small. He smiled faintly. "If I become the weaver," he asked, "will I remember them?" "You will remember everything," she said. "But not as you." "As light." He took a deep breath. The silver glow under his skin brightened, spreading across his arms, his chest, his face. He looked at her one last time. "Then show me how." The Moonweaver nodded. Her eyes shone with gentle sadness and pride. "Close your eyes, Elias, and dream one last time as a human." He closed his eyes. The silver threads rose from the ground and wrapped around him, lifting him into the air. The light grew brighter. filling the entire valley with a soft white glow. The moonweaver raised her hands, her form dissolving into pure light as well. She whispered through the fading hum, "Every dream must find its weaver. Every soul must become what it believes." The two lights, Elias and the moonweaver, merged into one. The loom spun faster, brighter, until the entire moon glowed like a newborn star. From Earth, people looked up that night and saw the moon shining stronger than it ever had before. Some said it looked alive. Others said it was smiling Dot, and somewhere deep inside that silver glow, a new voice whispered through the cosmic hum, gentle and endless. "Dream softly. I am here. I am weaving." Silence fell over the moon like a curtain of silver dust. For the first time since the beginning of time, the light stopped trembling Dot at the center of the valley, where the heart of the loom had spun for ages. A single figure floated, neither man nor spirit, neither dream nor shadow. It was Elias, and it was the moonweaver. Woven together, threads of light and memory, heartbeat and starlight, the loom turned around them in slow motion. Every strand glowing brighter with each pulse, the universe watched quietly. Even the stars seemed to hold their breath. From the black void above, the earth glowed softly, a small blue lantern hanging in endless night. Every light on its surface, every window, every dreamer asleep, faintly as if answering the moon's glow, something ancient had awakened. Elias no longer felt the weight of his body. He floated inside light, surrounded by whispers, billions of them. Each whisper was a dream, a child imagining flight, a man rebuilding after loss, a woman remembering someone she loved. Every dream, every hope, every fragile thought humans had ever created, all flowing through him like a living river. He could feel their pain, their joy, their endless wanting. It was overwhelming and beautiful. "You are within the loom now," a soft voice echoed. It was the moonweaver, but also not. Her voice was part of him now, like his own heartbeat speaking back. "You carry the threads. You must weave." Elias looked down, and there was no ground anymore. Only light. Threads stretched in every direction, some silver, some dim, some broken. Each thread was a life, a story, a thought left unfinished. He reached out. When his fingers touched a dim thread, it glowed faintly, showing him a vision, a lonely artist painting moons on cracked walls. Dreaming of escape, he smiled gently and guided the thread back into the web. The light steadied. The dream continued. That was the weave. He understood now. For hours or seconds, time no longer mattered. Elias moved through the infinite threads, repairing, rejoining, remembering. Each one hummed with emotion. Each one sang softly when healed. The moonweaver's essence moved beside him, helping him remember the rhythm of creation. Her light flickered gently, like a breath. "You see now?" she whispered. "Every human dream is part of something greater. When they sleep, they do not escape life, they build it." Elias nodded slowly, his voice calm and steady. "And when they stop dreaming? Then the universe forgets itself." But as they worked, something stirred again. Far below the glowing threads, a shadow rippled, faint, quiet, waiting. The Dream Eater still existed. It hadn't vanished when Elias merged with the light. It had simply retreated, waiting for a moment of weakness. The loom trembled once more. A single dark thread began to unravel near the core, spreading quickly like ink in water. Elias felt it instantly, the same deep hum of fear that had haunted him before. He closed his eyes. "It's still here," he said. The moonweaver's voice was calm though faint. "Fear never disappears, Elias. It is part of the weave, the shadow that gives light its shape." He looked down at the spreading darkness. "Then I'll weave it too." He reached into the dark thread. It burned cold, colder than death. He saw visions, war, fire, loneliness, loss. Every nightmare ever dreamed by humankind flowed through him. But this time, he did not run from it. He wove it in. He took the nightmares and twisted them together with the silver threads. Pain and light bound side by side. As he worked, the loom stopped shaking. The dark thread began to shine faintly from within, not erased, but transformed. Elias whispered, "Even darkness can dream." The light spread outward, reaching the moon's surface, then into space, then into the very fabric of time. It flowed through the stars, touching distant worlds, waking forgotten dreams across the universe. The moon became a beacon, a soft, eternal glow that carried whispers of memory through the void. On Earth, people woke in the middle of the night, tears in their eyes, though they didn't know why. Some wrote down strange dreams about silver light. Others just smiled, feeling peace for the first time in years. The Dream Eater was gone, not destroyed, but silent. Because fear had found its place inside the weave, Elias felt his voice fading, his thoughts becoming light. "Moonweaver," he whispered, "what happens to me now?" The voice that answered was his own, calm, infinite. "You are the moon now. You are the silence and the song. You will keep the dreams spinning until someone else learns to weave." He looked at Earth one last time. So small, so fragile, but alive. "And I'll keep them safe," he said softly. Every dream, every story. The loom pulsed once more, and the light of the moon reached its brightest peak on Earth. Astronomers watched their screens in awe. The moon's surface shimmered with moving light, forming spirals and shapes. Some said it looked like woven fabric. Others said it looked like wings. Children pointed out their windows, whispering, "The moon is breathing." And for a moment, all across the world, people shared the same dream, a dream of silver light, endless skies, and a voice saying, "Dream softly. I am here, I am weaving." The moon hung over the earth, brighter than it had ever been. Its surface shimmered with faint silver patterns, like a giant web of light softly breathing in the dark. The world below was quiet. For once, no cities hummed, no machines roared. No people shouted into the endless noise of their own fears. Instead, they looked up, they watched, and they dreamed. Children woke from their sleep that night and pointed at the sky. Some said they saw a figure made of light walking across the moon. Others said the moon smiled, a slow, peaceful smile made of silver mist. No one could explain it, but everyone felt it, a warmth that didn't come from the sun, a calm that didn't come from silence. It was the kind of peace that made the heart remember something ancient, something forgotten. Far away, in an observatory. On Earth, a young scientist named Mara recorded strange readings from her telescope. She frowned as the data flickered across her screen. The moon's surface was no longer cold rock. It was pulsing with rhythmic waves of energy. She whispered to herself, "It's alive." She didn't know it, but her voice carried across space. A tiny vibration caught in the web of light surrounding the moon. And somewhere inside that silver glow, someone heard her. Elias. Or what was once Elias. He no longer had a body, but he remembered how it felt to breathe, to feel, to hope. He had become part of the loom, the silent heartbeat of light that connected all dreams. He could hear them now, every sleeper on Earth, their dreams rising like soft songs into the void. He saw their worlds, a child flying over oceans, a soldier laying down his weapon, a woman laughing under a sky that rained stars. Every dream was a thread. Every thread was light, and together they made something endless. Sometimes, the darkness tried to return, faint shadows crawling through the weave. But Elias had learned what to do. He didn't fight the shadows anymore. He welcomed them, wove them into the pattern, turning fear into shape and shape into light. In the balance between shadow and glow, the loom found harmony. And the moon shone on, not perfect, but whole. On Earth, weeks passed. Then months. People began to change, not because they saw the light, but because they felt it. Artists painted again. Writers wrote about hope. Dreamers stopped being afraid to dream. Some even said their dreams were different now, clearer, softer, filled with silver light. No one remembered the signal, or the missions, or the scientist who disappeared on the moon. His name faded from their records, but not from their hearts, because sometimes, when the night grew still, a faint hum echoed from the sky, a voice, warm and distant, whispering, Dream softly. I am here. I am weaving. Years turned into centuries. Civilizations rose and fell. The moon never stopped glowing. New species looked up at it. New minds dreamed beneath it. And in the heart of that silver light, Elias, the man who once feared his own shadow, kept weaving their dreams into eternity. He was not a god. He was not a ghost. He was the memory of a dream that refused to die. And when one day the last star of this universe flickered, the moon's light did not fade. It folded itself gently into the dark, carrying with it the last dream of humanity, spun from silver light, waiting for the next dawn to begin again. Asterisk, dreams are the language of creation, the voice whispered one final time, and every end is only another beginning. Asterisk, the Moonweaver's Embrace story written for HFY, the end.